Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Heroes Hype Amateur Series. I may not have a voice, but I still have heart for this game, Anna.
Well, I'm hearing you loud and clear, my friend Gilly, because we are in Game 2 of the Grand Finals of this week, Week 14, I believe, of the Heroes Hype Amateur Series, and we're going to see the PLEYZ face off one more time against Wild Growth. Looks like the PLEYZ have now become also alternatively known as Team Wizard. Is that your doing, Gilly?
Yes, Team Wizard! Change it. You must change your name, friends. You must do it. I am so ready for this game, too. This could be potentially our last game, but I don't really want it to be our last game. So I'm secretly hoping for Wild Growth just a little bit because I think a Game 3 would be pretty darn fun. But we have started the draft.
Absolutely. Should we get right into it?
Let's do it. We are going to be on Tomb of the Spider Queen once again.
That is a favorite map of the evening, which I don't mind at all. It certainly is a frenetic map, though, because we see a lot of movement between lanes. It makes it hard and fun to cast for you, so we're looking forward to that. We see Zagara being banned, which is not a surprise. Zagara can do all sorts of fun things on this map, the primary thing being spreading creep all over everything and knowing where everybody is.
Yes, and Wild Growth choosing to ban Kael'thas. So this is a targeted pick saying, okay, you had your fun, no more. And the PLEYZ are going to answer by picking Sylvanas. So this is also a very strong pick on this map.
Yeah, she can do a lot in terms of pushing lanes. She can also merc really well. So she's somebody that is definitely an MVP on this map, as well as all sorts of maps. We see her picked first quite often, or at least in the first few picks. Another first pick that is familiar is Jaina. She will start off Team Blonde here for Wild Growth. She'll be joined by Mirrodin.
Yeah, so we saw Wild Growth pick their tank kind of later on in picking that Anubarak, whereas the PLEYZ were the ones who had that Mirrodin. And Mirrodin is a favorite right now in the meta. He got buffed. He was already starting to make a place for himself because of his counter ability to Illidan. But then on top of that, he got improvements in the last patch too, just making him even tankier and more awesome. And Wild Growth are saying, okay, we know now that we need to have a little bit of a tankier tank, so we're going to go ahead and take the Mirrodin. But the PLEYZ have said, yeah, that's fine, we'll try a Nubarak this time.
Yeah, speaking of a tank that got buffed, Anubarak being a favorite lately as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we've seen him in every game since I joined you. But he is going to be joined by Tyrande as the first support. She's probably going to need another healer in order to keep him alive, as he's a little bit squishier in terms of tanks.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
Wild Growth have Kerrigan. I don't know why, but it just popped up.
Oh, Gilly. We're gonna see Divine Shield with Maelstrom. It's my favorite.
It is your favorite, and that's why I knew you'd be pumped. But let's look at what they have on top of that as well, because they also have people who can stun off of her Primal Grasp and Blades, and then Jaina can even throw on all of her, her terrible frosty abilities that will slow them, also kill them, because Kerrigan and Jaina together are amazing.
Oh, my feels. I feel them so feely-like. I'm really excited about this. Now the PLEYZ is sitting there being like, oh, dang it. Crap. What are we going to do against that? Because that's a lot of stunnage and a lot of damages. So they really need to figure out how they are going to burst down those people or protect their own in the face of that kind of damage.
Well, they've got 2 picks left, and you know, I kind of thought Wild Growth might get Thrall here because they've picked Thrall a whole bunch in the past on this map. They really like him. Sundering is really cool because you can throw people into walls and stuff, but I don't know if we'll see that with the Kerrigan, as that's pretty melee heavy, but the PLEYZ are going to go ahead and pick up Brightwing as their full support. Brightwing has so much utility. She's a great solo laner, which is super nice, and she also can phase shift in so that she's instantly in a fight. And what's nice is that because she's such a good solo laner and has that global presence, she can stay until just the last minute before teleporting in to get as much experience as possible. On top of that, she also has Polymorph and Emerald Wind, though I don't know if we'll see it since she might want Blink Heal for the additional healing. But Polymorph still is really good versus Kerrigan. But they're going to go ahead and say, no, we want 2 tanks. We're going to get ETC too.
So this is really, really interesting because this kind of personifies what you were mentioning earlier about this map, which was that you have one style which is super aggressive and one style which is sustainy and map objective E. And that has never been more clear than this because look how scary Wild Growth looks now that they pick up their final pick, which is Vala.
Vala, Kerrigan, and Jaina with then Muradin and Uther as tank and support versus a 2-tank, 2 support with your
specialist.
One other, specialist. There's not even a single assassin on that team.
So we're familiar with the super assassin build. We understand how that works and why it's so scary. Let's look at the PLEYZ. What advantages do they have that are going to stand out on this map? Where do we think their edge is going to be?
I think we'll often see them pushing wherever Wild Growth aren't to try to take down towers and any sort of structures they can as much as possible, especially with Sylvanas and even Brightwing to some degree because she now can pick up that promote talent. As far as the 2 tanks, I mean, in team fights, I just don't know. I honestly do not know how they can possibly deal enough damage to Wild Growth, but Wild Growth are squishy. It seems like maybe they want to sustain through again, but have they gone too far in their greed of sustaining?
The thing is, maybe they just don't team fight. Maybe they just decide that's not our game, we will not team fight. Because maybe, hypothetically, their 2 tanks can do so much laning and experience absorbing. Then you have Sylvanas, Tyrande, Brightwing. I don't know, Gilly. But maybe they're playing that game of we're just not going to do what you expect us to do on this map, and we're going to focus on the objectives as opposed to on fighting with you. So these 2 teams want very different things from this game, and we're going to have to find out who is going to win. Let's introduce the teams. You want to start, Gilly?
Let's do it. We've got the PLEYZ in blue this time. Yelcow is playing ETC. Pirate Rum is on Tyrande. Evan Drinde once again playing Sylvanas. Zeus playing Anubarak, and Lex Uther on the Brightwing.
And sporting the red jerseys this time, Wild Growth will be Collusion on Muradin, Forest playing Jaina, Jime on Uther, Zox on Vala, and Jordo will play My Love Kerrigan.
Another thought might be, if you have if you have 2 tanky heroes who can hold gems, you might not lose gems as often. But I'm wondering, can you turn them in? We'll have to see. Let's look at some of the talents right off the bat. You yell at me if we get into a fight. Scouting drone for Brightwing, so they are prioritizing having some vision there. And that's a great pickup for her anyway. There aren't a ton of Merc camps to go with Bribe. We do sometimes see it on here, but I think Scouting Drone is generally the more popular choice. Once again, we see Winter's Reach on Jaina, so they have the possibility of turning in a...
Oh, Gilly, we've got a fight going on. We had Pirate Rum be pulled in by Kerrigan and also stunned and will go down.
Well, the Winter's Reach possibly could help them have an easier time of stopping a turn-in, is what I was going to go with. And there's the first kill. First blood for Wild Growth.
Yes, absolutely. So, interesting that we are seeing some convincing laning coming out of the PLEYZ, but like we just saw, one little pick and everything can go to tears for them.
Yeah, for sure. They tried to pick up a kill on Evan, but didn't quite stun long enough so that she couldn't Banshee away, and so we did see Evan get out of there in a hurry. Look at Uther picking up Fist of Justice at a level 1 talent. Basic attacks reducing the cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 1 second. They are all about the stuns.
Well, and why not? I mean, they just want to hold everyone in place while the ladies of damage do their thing.
Like the brilliant.
The damaged damsels, if you will.
Yes! Perfect. Alright, well, Tyrande once again doing a great job of trying to keep an eye on what's happening in the turn-ins. One owl can do that, and that's pretty nice. And we did see them pushing on bottom, so they are going for a good push by having Evan there on that Sylvanas. They've almost got 1 turret down, and both teams are level 4.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see what's going to happen once the action starts intensifying. I mean, is the early laning phase. None of this is really exceptional at this point. Getting one little gank, not surprising. But I want to see what we're going to see from this ultra sustain team and whether you can do that. You can just stay alive and get map objectives and still win on this map.
What concerns me is I can see the later game potential, like, hey, we've got people who can't die as tanks, but they're still going to be able to die pretty easily to a gank squad, which is what Wild Growth are running in the early game. And this is a map where if you get too behind in the early game, it's very difficult to recover from. It's one of the more snowbally maps. So they'll have to really try to make sure that they are keeping up in experience, which so far they're doing a pretty good job at.
Yeah.
They're actually roaming pretty well too. As you can see, Zeus and Pirate Roam coming up to join Lex Uther, not necessarily to gank in this case, but to add their survivability to Lex Uther so that nobody is dying. So maybe we're seeing that their objective is sustain, and that whenever they can do that by roaming, that's a success for them. I don't know though. I mean, the experience levels are very equal. We do see a few more gems having been turned in so far from the PLEYZ. Not a significant amount though, something that would make us feel like they're ahead.
Yeah, so far they've got 12, and it looks like Collusion wanted to come in and turn in, but it's like, nope, that's like everybody on the team. I'm just going to peace out there. And I did want to note, Brightwing did pick up Promote here, like was my thought. So there they are. There are the promoted minions. And this means that it's going to be difficult for one person to try to deal with them. You have to really throw a ton of shots to be able to take them out. And meanwhile, that's keeping Vala busy. We've got a turn in and possibly a fight going on around this turn in, but the PLEYZ need to be a little bit careful. Wild Growth is going to hit level 7 a smidgen earlier, and although they will leave, they do pick up those talents.
Yeah, interesting to note that you don't have to kill anyone to deny turn-ins. And that's a really important distinction for our friend the PLEYZ, because they can just kind of puppy guard these turn-ins and say, yeah, whatever, try to kill us, that's fine, but you can't turn in any gems, and the web weavers in this game will all be ours.
Well, Lex Uther paying close attention to what the other team is trying to do. If you notice, they did pick up Cleanse instead of that Soothing Mist, which does provide extra healing, but that doesn't matter if you're just going to kill right through the healing. So picking up the Cleanse to be able to help if anyone gets caught in that primal grasp of Kerrigan or the stuns from Uther and Muradin.
Yeah, Wild Growth holding on to a lot of gems right now, enough to get web weaver spawn for them, but they are getting interrupted right and left. We'll see if they can continue to be interrupted long enough, but it looks like they may get a turn in here, and that would be web weavers for Wild Growth.
There are the first web weavers coming. I did want to point out that a pick that Sylvanas, we often see Sylvanas take, but definitely will come into play here, is this unstable poison. My friends call it the popcorn build because minions and mercs that die under the effects of black arrows explode, dealing 75 damage to nearby enemies. That helps clear out the waves super, super quickly. And I think they're going to need that, especially every time they have web weavers spawning down on them.
Yeah, that's a really fun ability that can have unexpected damaging effects, even in team fights too. One of my favorites to take when I play Sylvanas. We do see the web weavers pushing, and we see Wild Growth supporting each of the web weavers in turn, as we see 4 members of the PLEYZ coming to defend here mid, and Brightwing staying up here by her lonesome defending top.
The rest is going to push in. We're at least seeing them try to go for towers. It's generally what we see with the early web weavers. And they're doing a really good job so far. Actually, Jordo trying to get a kill on Lex Uther, but doesn't. Lex Uther just barely avoids the primal grasp. But they will still be able to take out both of these turrets, and that's getting them very, very close to their level 10 abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. They're certainly not out of reach, but the second they get level 10, they're going to look for an engagement, and they're going to wreak havoc if they're allowed to get it. So the PLEYZ are definitely thinking about how can we keep ourselves safe, how can we keep momentum in our favor, and they're probably looking for their own webweaver turn-in to give them a little bit of space on the map.
Alright, well, Lex Uther is trying to turn in and will not be able to do so. They are getting very, very close, but they have to be careful because there is that 10 to 9 ratio. And so far we're not seeing the PLEYZ being able to turn in a really good stop on that from Wild Growth, but there are the level 10 abilities, so let's really quickly go over what we've got. For the PLEYZ, we have the Starfall, Web Blast, Blink Heal, Wailing Arrow, and Mosh Pit. And for Wild Growth, Avatar, the Water Elemental, Divine Storm, Rain of Vengeance, and Maelstrom. So Divine Storm is a Divine Heal.
Interesting. So maybe we're going to be looking for... Oh, Yell Cow does fall. And it looks like we may see Pirate Rum and... Nope. Just kidding. They got away. Oh, just kidding. Again.
Really good stun right there on the gate. But Lex Luthor was able to blink heal, which saved him. That blink heal is so good. A lot of people don't realize it's not just a heal. It also can get you out of trouble or get you caught up to somebody if you've got a team member chasing them. Then you can polymorph them or something like that. So here again we have more red web weavers spawning, and this is going to be difficult for the PLEYZ. They've already got their towers down. Lanes are already pushed, and so it's possible they could lose a fort or two here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sustainability is not equating to zoning, which is really important in this map. Being able to zone people away from turn-ins was possible for the PLEYZ early on, but is proving difficult for them now as we see yet another wave of red web weavers coming in. And they're going to do just little by little enough damage to make these lanes a little bit scary.
We can see a little bit of what the PLEYZ might be trying to do if they get into a team fight. They've got the mosh pit, which then you can throw Wailing Arrow and the Starfall onto web blasting somebody out if you need to. And so we might see something like that here as they are going in for a fight. There's Yell Cow going in, but Zeus already very, very low is going to have to burrow out immediately. They're trying really hard to deal with that water elemental. That'll at least be one heroic down, whereas they have already used Web Blast though and Mosh Pit, which was stopped. And so there is the Starfall. That's a great Starfall for zoning, but Zeus is still very low, cannot really get into this fight as much, and everybody is very, very low.
In the meantime, a web weaver will take out the fort in the bottom lane completely unattended, so that is a little bit of a win for Wild Growth.
Yeah, and they're going to end up getting this fort anyway, as the Brightwings seem to have difficulty keeping members of the PLEYZ up, and while having some really, really good cleanses, I've seen her drop them on people when they would get pulled from the Primal Grasp of Kerrigan. It still is an issue in that you don't have the Soothing Mist. That's a huge amount of healing that comes out of Brightwing, and without that, she's having trouble keeping everybody alive with all the damage from Jaina, Kerrigan, and Bala.
Yeah, I mean, having two supports even isn't helping there. What do you think that, I mean, we've got a level 13 here on behalf of Wild Growth. We're going to see level 12 for the PLEYZ now very, very soon. What do you think they need to do here strategically in order to move momentum back in their favor?
These web weavers will definitely help them. They should definitely try to get some structures wherever they can, or at least a good push, but this is a problem for them. Collusion is going to dwarf toss in, and now this is a really bad issue. A great web blast will actually ensure that they pick up the bruisers, so that was really good. And look at that mosh pit! Oh my goodness! Forrest as Jaina gets wrecked, but a great primal grasp from Kerrigan will mean that they take out two members with Brightwing following and ETC as well. So although they did get a really good mosh pit, everybody died so fast for the PLEYZ.
Man, yeah, I thought that mosh pit being executed so well would be a determining factor in that fight, but we're really seeing how much it hurts not to have good, solid damage dealers. When Sylvanas is your main damage dealer, sure, she can do a lot of fast damage to structures and to mercenaries, but in a team fight, especially if she's being focused as the only one who can deal any damage, she's certainly not going to be threatening.
Yeah, that was really rough. I mean, everything was there for them. They had a 4-person mosh. They had Starfall. The only thing not going for them is that they didn't have their 13 talents, but that was such a great setup, and everybody got so low, but just not quite dead. And then the amount of time once Mosh Pit finished, a great pull from Kerrigan and a Divine Storm from Wild Growth picked up that kill, or those like 4 kills.
We see the PLEYZ grabbing the Siege Giants bottom, which I think is really important. I think they need to be staying on top of every single map objective that they can. They should be owning those mercenary camps because those are the things that they have to make theirs in order to keep momentum for themselves on the map. Those Siege Giants will be able to take down the tower after the PLEYZ take down the fort, but Wild Growth is in pursuit. They want to engage here. And Jordo trying to leap in, not being able to grab them. A full retreat from the PLEYZ, which is a good decision here.
That blink heal saved Lex Luthor twice. Those were perfect blink heals. And that's just showing you the amazing utility of that ability. I think it is so fantastic that you can use it in so many different ways, not just for the healing that it provides. Now, Brightwing also grabbed Ice Block, and I don't fault her for that, because if they're going to get pulled in, at least that maybe she can Ice Block it and stay alive through it. There comes the Maelstrom with Jordan. One person is in the web wrap, and they're going to just focus on taking it down, getting their tank back out of there, and that's a really good decision, because now that heroic is down, and they weren't able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, that Maelstrom was pretty much wasted, which is good news for the PLEYZ. If they can keep getting those... Oh... Well, I was going to say if they can keep bringing those heroics down, it's going to be good news for them. They are, however, just getting pulled by the combos. Jordo being able to stun and take people down with her Primal Grasp. And we see that even when they're taken very low, the rest of Wild Growth is able to still do lots of damage and end up taking a fort as well as that team fight.
You know, they grabbed their level 16 talents right in the middle of that fight, and I saw... I think it was Kerrigan grabbed Blood for Blood so fast, didn't use it, was like, ah, 16, thank goodness, and then instantly grab it. Now they're going for the boss, and this was not a good choice to come back in here and try to stop it, even if they're just scouting it. Sylvanas is now down, and they already had 2 people down. Now they're chasing Lex Luthor, who can maybe try to blink heal to a minion, but no, a good stun is going to take her out as well. And now 2 people are still down. I don't know, it doesn't look like they maybe are going to go to a boss. They might decide to just heal up, get fresh, and then go to the boss, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think that was clumsy, unfortunately, on the part of the PLEYZ there. Like you said, face checking was not advisable at that point when there were only 3 of them there, and they know that all 5 of Wild Growth could and should be there.
He's going in again, and now Yelkow is going to go down, and there is a web wrap, but it doesn't, they still are able to secure the ETC kill. I'm very confused about these decisions here.
I mean, I don't know if they think that preventing them from getting the boss is important enough to potentially sacrifice lives. I wouldn't personally think that. I would rather just go ahead and defend against the boss, which I think is kind of the inevitability here that is being accepted. Also worth noting that Pirate Rum is holding 28 gems, so really don't want Pirate Rum to get killed in the face.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that decision pays off for them, because they did stop the grabbing of the boss and did force Wild Growth to go pick up their bruisers. I think maybe hoping that they could have something that the PLEYZ would have to deal with while then they could go get boss. But now they're going to turn in the gems that they have. Once again, they scouted the boss with the owl. They know that they aren't there. It looks like they might be going to the bottom turn of their own. They really want to get those gems off of Pirate Rum. And they're still not at 16 yet.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Now Jordo leaping in, trying to get an engage, not quite getting the engage they wanted, but they have lots of options right now, which is where you want to be in this game. Unfortunately, the PLEYZ options are getting more and more limited. They've got map objectives to take. Potentially those siege giants are open to them, but the boss looks like it will probably fall to Wild Growth as they go up again, and we know that so far engagements have not been favorable for the PLEYZ as they try to contest that. If they could get level 16 right now and then engage, they might have a better chance.
Well, here they go. And looks like Wild Growth knows it. They take out these minions, very important. They know they need 16 first. And they forced the heroes to come down. This is a difficult boss to get when you have enemies engaging on you, because it is so hard to get out of if you start taking too much damage. And so really good job stopping Wild Growth from taking this boss so many times by the PLEYZ. They did lose some heroes for it, but I think it does, I mean, it does seem like it's paying off for them.
Yeah, actually, they get to turn in now. I don't know that it will be enough, but it will certainly get the gems off their back and get them closer to a turn in. Actually, it will be enough, just enough. They're missing, oh, Pirate Rum just has to get that one more gem turned in and they would have Web Weavers. Pirate Rum is not going to get the chance right now. Evan Drinde also being very, very low. That Water Elemental following him in. And we see some very healthy members of Wild Growth pursuing now.
Lex Luthor had a really great blink heal onto Evan to save his life. And now Wailing Arrow is down, did deal a lot of damage to Forrest. He's getting healed up as we speak. Looks like only one heroic is down for Wild Growth, but 2 are down on the side of the PLEYZ. They've still got Starfall and Mosh Pit. Blink Heal's almost always up, but that is going to limit their options a bit. They are going to re-engage here. They really want to go for it, but Maelstrom is still up and available, as is Divine Storm, and there is some stuns going down. There's the Starfall, and the Rain of Vengeance immediately takes out the ETC, and Killusion in Avatar form is stunning everyone left and right, and looks like both teams will be content to back away here. They're trying so hard to get those turn, and it's not going to happen. Zeus, get out. Jordo is trying to kill you.
I think it's worth mentioning that even though Wild Growth is the team with only one support, Uther is doing a great job of keeping them all healthy. They never look at a disadvantage in terms of being low and then coming back healed up.
Yeah, he's got that protective shield. He's got great heals, but he's got that benediction, which really helps too. But I think it's also important to note that when you have that Uther and everyone's staying healed up, especially as they don't have Divine Shield, that means that the positioning of Wild Growth, they're doing a good job with that as well. And now we've got 2 Blood for Bloods on each side, Critterize as well for Brightwing. So they're really trying to up their damage. They know that it's low. Here we go, we're gonna have another engagement. Great pull from Kerrigan, but let's Uther immediately Divine Shield himself. Unfortunately, that means there is none of that, not Divine Shield. Something was invulnerable. And now he's gonna go in. Collusion is going after Tyrande. Pirate Rum just trying to get away. Is slowed down by the Water Elemental, as does the Frostbolt. And now they've caught him, Brightwing as well. A pull on Evan Drinde will secure that kill, and there's an entire team wipe for in favor of Wild Growth.
And they have got all sorts of pushing going on. They've got Siege Giants and Web Weavers and the entire team to push. That will be the end of the game. Wanted to note that we're seeing an awesome rotation here for Wild Growth. We're seeing the damage dealers take turns running to the front, doing great damage, running to the back, getting healed by Uther, and running back in again. We saw that happen with Jordo over and over again. So just great utilization of a great draft with great damage. I think this has been a fantastic game. Again, I love to see creative, non-standard play, and so a dual tank, dual healer composition with a specialist as the only damage dealer, interesting. Fun to theory craft about, fun to watch, but in this case, not effective enough on Tomb of the Spider Queen, Gilly.
Yeah, I agree. And I whispered to you before this, and I was like, Wild Growth's going to be mad about that first game, and they're going to play aggressively. And they did. They came out, they were like, Kerrigan, that is who we require. And they did such a good job. They were on par with everything. I was very surprised not to see the Divine Shield, but Kerrigan didn't really need it. Such a great job from Uther in picking that Divine Storm. I think that was probably a choice made given the talent choices of the PLEYZ. They didn't know what heroics they were going to pick yet, as they got their heroics first, but they knew that they were lacking in damage, and so it was something where if they could just get stuns and then have Kerrigan jump on top of the people who were stunned, plus that Rain of Vengeance, plus all of the damage from Jaina, they would have it, and they did.
They certainly did. So if I'm not mistaken, that ties our series 1-1, and we will go to Game 3 in this finals.
Yes, we will. We'll be right back, guys, with Game 3. Stay tuned, and we will see you soon.